the way, we were treated before just bothers me. I don't like that, you need to be home, be the wife, take care of kids. Yes, if you have kids, you should definitely do your part. But doing your part is up to you. What is your part? For me, for me, my part is showing my kids that you can stand up for yourself and you can have freedom. You don't need to fit into anyone else's box. You're your own. Being able to start my business and pull myself out like this has been a huge influence on them in the way that they have relationships and see the world. You cannot make decisions based off of what you think you're supposed to do.
Right.
Just don't make decisions off of what you're good at.
Yes.
Who you are, and stand up. Like, that's the best you can give to your kids.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Mom Does It All. If you're looking for encouragement, empowerment, and uplifting in motherhood and mompreneurship, this is a show for you. I'm your host, Marta Spurk, triplet mom, certified success coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. In this episode, I talk to digital marketer and website designer Lucy Stange. She shares the idea behind her business called My Social Drive and how every woman should find what she loves and pursue it without trying to fit in anyone else's box. Let's get right to it. Hi, Lucy. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I wanted to focus on the thing that you wanted to focus on when you first reached out to me to be on the show, which was so interesting to me because usually we talk about, how did you start your business? What is your business and all of that? And you wanted to talk about how strongly you feel about women pursuing their dreams, especially moms, and how you feel that entrepreneurship helps us grow so much and how pretty much every woman, every mom should be an entrepreneur. I love that.
I know.
It's like everything that I talk about, so I love it. So of course I want to learn about your business as well, but can you share like how you came to that realization and all of the things?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is just, I do push that you kind of start something. I feel like I meet so many people that have a dream or something they want to do. But I always hear these like, oh, well, I'm a mom and I'll do it when they're out of the house or they grow up or when I have time. Or also too, I feel like you kind of put everybody else first or, a husband or family or whatever. You put everything else first. And I feel like as women and moms, like, I don't think people realize how important it is that you need to show up.
Yeah.
Like show up in your completely everything that you care about, what drives you, what you love. And I think that when you're looking at being a mom or when you're looking at your position, in the world, and I think when you put yourself aside, you just kind of are cheating everything, yourself and the people around you. And I just, anytime I meet anybody, I'm just like, I always have you'll always end up in a conversation with me like, all right, we're starting this business,
Oh my.
That's my drive. Anytime I ever have a conversation with someone, it's like, oh, you love art? All right, let's figure out how we can make that work, or, oh, you love baking? All right, let's figure out how we can make that work. And the reason why I think that way is because I feel like if you can pursue what you care about, you just really, you can show up. I mean, I really feel like you're able to be you. Like, I don't know, if you meet people or I meet people and you can tell that they're not really fully into what they love to do, it's like there's some shifts. Like, I feel like you have more stress in your life. You're not healthy. You're not eating right. You're not, you're not taking care of yourself because you're not really doing what you love to do. And it's just so important to dive into something. And it's challenging, honestly, that being a business owner or entrepreneur is hard, but I think that life is supposed to be hard.
Yes.
And I feel like sometimes when you're not going through hard things in a way that you love, you just kind of feel stuck,
Totally.
So anyways, that's how I fall into it.
Yeah. Oh, and I love what you said about it's kind of like you're cheating yourself or cheating the people around you. And I'd never use that word, and I love it because I usually say you're doing yourself a disservice or you're doing the people around you a disservice. And cheating is even stronger, and it's so true because it affects every area of your life when you're not happy about what you're doing, right? So that's why it's so important to find something you care about and to follow it. And I love that when people talk to you, they're like, all right, I need to start a business. Because that's how I feel. That's like how my brain has been operating when I talk to other moms. I was like, have you thought about like selling this? Or So that's awesome. I love that. So tell us what you do exactly, how that came to be and everything.
Yeah, honestly, it happened by accident. I started a photography business, and I mean, I've started so many things. I think naturally, I'm kind of that what they call the entrepreneur that's crazy and all over the place. But yes, I started a few things. Like I think I did fitness for a while. I had like a group fitness program and stuff, and then I jumped to something else. But anyways, like in 2017, I started. Well, not. I think it was the end of or beginning of 2017. I did photography for a while. And then as I was shooting, I was running into people like models or things like that. And every time I was working with someone, it was like, okay, this is how you use the photos and brand yourself and grow your business. And I kept taking it a step further. And I realized that, yes, I loved photography. I think photography really pulled me out of depression that I had. At a time in my life where I felt like I couldn't feel. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but just like I wasn't present and I was kind of struggling emotionally, and photography helped me like see a different perspective and really start falling in love with my life again. So that was pretty cool. So that's kind of why I dived into it. I started shooting people and I just loved, helping people see a different perspective and helping them kind of reconnect with their life. And I would always be like, oh my gosh, see, you are awesome. What are you talking about? Like I'd show them the photos afterwards. And some people were like, oh my gosh, that's me, But that was awesome. But from the side of that, I started to kind of coach people into starting a business. I mean, like I said, it always ended up in like, all right, let's grow to the next level. So from there, I started to do branding and marketing for companies. So I had like small boutique shops that I worked with. And I realized that I was doing it already. So I just decided to launch on my business and be a marketer, which I had no idea what I was getting into when I started, which is normal, right? That's normal.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that starts, I think. But yeah, I went through a lot of struggles there. I felt like, the simplicity in my mind was, if you love something and if you had a passion for something, I always felt like there was a way to make that work and fit into the world, and everyone else can, you would be able to grow from that passion, which, and I think it works. But, I think the hardest thing I go through is trying to understand what other people's perspective is from marketing. There's so many, I think in the marketing field, there's so many different things out there and options, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, I come from a side where really the reason why I dived in is I don't like this mindset of you need to buy this because you're not good enough. Like that really pisses me off. It frustrates me. And I went through it myself, like as a business owner, like feeling like I had to get more stuff or hire someone or do something because I wasn't good enough. And I didn't understand the field out there. And it bothered me a lot. I really don't like that, you have all these options out there and they kind of pull off of your insecurities and all the things that you suck at, which I feel like traps you in a situation where you can't really grow. So really that's where I dived into where, what, my biggest value is you are good enough and you're a badass, and that's why this is going to work. And we'll start there. We're going to start.
I love it.
You're a badass. We're going to start there. And now we're going to drive your business based off of that core root solution, And it's amazing how that's all these other things are not a problem. Like if you say you started a business of baking, I don't know why baking's in my mind right now. Cookies. I think it's because I was on Facebook and I saw cookies. So that's why. But so say you have a cooking business and, you can go out there and get overwhelmed with like, oh my gosh, I need to get licensed and all this stuff. But when we start with like, why did you start baking cookies? What's the love from it? Why did you want to do this business? And how do you want your customers to feel? And all of these other problems disappear. And when you drive with that, I mean, it's just amazing the transition that happens and how much growth happens from moving from that angle. So that's kind of what I do for my clients is I sit down and say, you know what, who are you? What do you care about? What are your values? Why did you start? And then we drive from there and it just blows up. I love
Oh my goodness. And I love how you come from a place of like encouraging and empowering them. It's not just, okay, so how do you want to grow your business and what do you want to do? It's just like, okay, first and foremost, you're amazing. Now let's go back to the basics and see why you're passionate about this and where you want to go. That's great. Cause I mean, just like what you said in the beginning, how, you know, it's messy when we first start out, or heck, even midway through, because, you know, it all the way, we get overwhelmed with so many things. And even though we start with great intentions, we might get lost along the way because of all of the things that, you know, happen around us. And especially as we start comparing ourselves to other people, it's easy to get discouraged. So having someone like you that will help people feel encouraged and remember why they started it in the first place is so key. I love that. And another thing that you said too is how starting a business, even though it's not something that you're doing right now with the photography, it pulled you out of depression. And that kind of goes back to what we first started talking about, how people don't understand that following your passion is going to help you so much, like even pulling you out of something as severe as depression or whatever it is that you're going through. You're like, okay. And even the other day, someone reached out to me on Instagram and they were like, how do you do it all? I feel so emotionally empty. And that's where it's like, we all struggle. It's hard. Just like what you said, you know, life is hard, but you know, you have to embrace the challenge and find the things that you're passionate about again and pursue them. And then you're going to feel more fulfilled. And that's not to say you're going to feel happy 100% every single day, every single moment of every single day. but that totally helps you there with just, you know, put one foot in front of the other and just keep going. So I just love your message and your energy and how upbeat you are. So that's great. And I could see why people want to work with you anyways.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So can you tell us, so what's the name of your business? Because I remember you said you wanted to kind of go into that and say why you called it, what you called it, and kind of talk about like, what are the steps that you kind of mentioned it, but digging a little bit deeper, what you do with your clients and, you know, what working with you looks like and all of that.
Cool. Yes. So yes, it's called My Social Drive. And that kind of happened by accident, but I get a lot of questions. People are like, why did you put my in there? Like, why did you have My Social Drive? And the reason why I named it that is I really wanted people to take ownership of their passion. And I wanted them to show up on the website saying, this is my business. This is my purpose, passion, where I'm going. Because I think a lot of times as a marketer that I've seen out there, I see people say, oh, I need to grow my business. I'm going to hire someone. And then they throw it off there. Like they're going to take care of it. And when you do that, you lose control over your business. And not in a sense that someone can't take care of it. You can delegate, and I recommend delegating for sure. But what I don't recommend is mentally going through the mindset that you don't have to worry about it and someone else is going to do it for you.
Okay.
If you do that, you really lose the connection and the passion. Like you lose what you can, like your business is yours. You're the driver. So that's again why there's drive. Like you're the reason why it moves, because what you care about moves your business and grows. And that core value is the whole, what holds everything together. The second you delegate that to someone else, you don't have, you know, you let go of what made your business start in the beginning.
Right.
So I think delegating is such a huge thing, but I think having the mental process of like letting it go and saying someone else is going to grow your business for you is kind of a dangerous position to be in. And I've seen a lot of people, even as I work with clients, sometimes I'll sit down and say, you know what, you really need to be in touch with why you started and in touch with your clients in your community. Yes, delegate and keep yourself, you know, sane.
Yes.
Don't lose connection with what you're doing. So that's why I called it Drive and My Social. And then social is a part of like, that's what makes this whole world turn around. Like you really have to interact and engage it.
Yeah.
And it's also a part that I feel like with society and technology and the way things are going, it's like this thing that everybody's isolating themselves and you're not really connecting on a one-on-one basis like we used to.
Right.
And then how do we do that now through all these channels that we have in an organic way? Like that's kind of what I help my clients with is grow who you are, what you care about, and all of that in a way that you're actually building awesome relationships and you're not like behind the screen being a fake person, you know?
Right. Yeah. Especially in the online space. That's huge. Oh, I love so many things that you just said about taking ownership, because that is huge. And not even with entrepreneurship, but just as yourself, like taking ownership of who you are. And that's a lot of what you mentioned before about starting off by telling your clients you're amazing. And so, and only you are you and you're unique. So be proud of that. And that goes along with the business as well. And when people start losing touch with themselves and with that purpose, the reason why they even started their business, that's when things kind of start going wrong, I feel like. And, you know, we wonder, why aren't people wanting to work with me? Why aren't people buying my stuff? And it's like, have you taken a look at yourself, at, you know, the way you're handling things, your mindset, where your attitude is? Like, it all starts there. So we're looking for, you know, to put blame on somebody else, like, oh, the algorithm is killing everything. And it's like, okay, I mean, it makes it more challenging. But what is the energy that you're putting out there? How are you handling, you know, your message and all of that? So I think that's totally huge. And not only that, but the whole aspect of having relationships, because that's one thing that was huge for me when I changed my business direction, was understanding the importance of collaborations and building relationships, and not only with building relationships to see if someone is going to work with me, like buy my stuff, but building relationships to collaborate with other entrepreneurs. And it also like understand the importance of feeling happy for somebody else's success. Because I feel that is like huge, and we don't pay close enough attention to that. And then again, we wonder, why am I not successful? Well, because you're envying somebody else and being like, why am I not like them? Instead of feeling happy for them and then attracting that to yourself. And I'm big on the whole law of attraction and manifestation and all of that. So I totally resonate with everything that you said. And I love, now that you explained the meaning of business, that's amazing, because it's just in such few words, you have all of those meanings in there. And I love that. And you kind of talked a little bit, we kind of talked a little bit about, you know, the roles that society kind of expects moms and women to have. And that was one of the things that you had mentioned when you first reached out to me too. So I do want to touch on that because that's one of the things that I even talked about in an interview earlier this week, to say like the times have changed, especially when you say about the internet. You know, before, women were expected to just stay home, to just cook, to just sew. And those were the expectations. And that was like the definition of success. Like if you cook amazing, then you're amazing. And things have changed now. You don't, you know, your value in society, or even your value for yourself, is not based on that anymore. So can you kind of talk a little bit about your thoughts on that?
Yeah, boy, that's like a field. That's like I'm like overwhelmed with all the thoughts on that, on that topic. There's a lot with that. I think we have a lot of angles that hits us on. I mean, there's society, and then there's how we grew up, and then there's how our relationship with ourselves and expectation. And I feel like I'm kind of all over the plate on all of those things, just with my own personal experience. And it's been a struggle. It's difficult. I think when I first started, I was behind the scene, and I'm so business oriented that I can't stop it. but I was a woman. So in my mind, it was my husband needs to be successful and I need to be the wife, right? And be the mom. And we have 4 kids. So I feel like I have enough on my plate to handle and hide behind my kids. But so I have so many things to say with that even, but, I was so business driven that I pushed him to start a business kind of like the month after our honeymoon, like we're starting.
Oh my. So this goes way back.
Yes. And we started one, whatever. But I also kind of hid behind him. I was like, you're the business owner, I'm the wife, and I forced him to be the business owner. And now like it's sitting back saying, he's not a business owner. And I'm a business owner, and I need to just value that. Like I'm cheating him, I'm cheating myself, I'm making him miserable, I'm making my kids miserable, I'm making myself miserable. Like, I'm the business owner, and that was kind of the drive to start off and just jump. But the other side is just like, I really feel like you have to jump in and be who you are, no matter what society tells you or the guilt is or whatever. And I hear a lot of people say, like, especially to me, like, oh, you're busy with 4 kids. And I'm like, seriously, 4 kids are the least of my problems. They really are.
Right.
But facing my family has been rough. Just not all of them, some of them, but just kind of like, what are you doing? You need to be home taking care of your family. What's wrong with you? You know?
Yeah. I know that all too well.
And it really bothers me because it's like, do you understand that if I try to fit in, how seriously messed up that will make me, my kids, my relationship, and even just how I show up for society, like my neighbors. The other day, like I have quite a few neighbors that have boutique shops and things like that, or they're artists. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am not doing my part. I'm not telling them how to grow their business successfully. I'm over here cheating them because I'm like not being neighborly and not doing my part. And I realized that sometimes when you have connections with people, you bring something to the table, and that's what you have to bring. And you have to deliver that. That's why that relationship's there. But yeah, no, to answer your question with kind of all of that, what society, just everything. I feel like the way, we were treated before just bothers me. I don't like that, you need to be home, be the wife, take care of kids. Yes, if you have kids, you should definitely do your part, but doing your part is up to you. What is your part? For me, for me, my part is showing my kids that you can stand up for yourself and you can have freedom. You don't need to fit into anyone else's box. You're your own. Being able to start my business and pull myself out like this has been a huge influence on them in the way that they have relationships and see the world. And that's not possible if I don't show up and do my part. And I would recommend that to anybody. Like anytime I meet parents, it's just, you know what? You cannot make decisions based off of what you think you're supposed to do.
Right.
Just don't make decisions off of what you're good at, who you are, and stand up. Like that's the best you can give to your kids.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me recap because there's just too many things.
Okay.
I just love the whole idea of hiding behind your kids. That's so powerful. Hiding behind your kids and hiding behind your husband, because I feel like we do that a lot. And again, because of how things used to be years and years ago, the expectations that people had. And now that things have changed with, everything's global and, we're connected to the world in a sense, you don't have to follow those things anymore. It's kind of like up to you, right? You decide what you're going to do. And that's one other thing that somebody mentioned in one of them. They were interviewing me and they were like, so it's not like Marcia's telling you to go start a business right now. Everyone should just drop everything and go start a business.
True. Yeah.
which I mean, many women have that drive. They just haven't given themselves that permission, I feel. But it's not that that's the ultimate goal or that's the thing that's going to make you happy. But it's just like what you said. It's not trying to fit in someone else's box. And I love that as well, because for the most part, we live our lives trying to measure up to somebody else's standards, right? And we keep wondering people are going to be judging us, which they probably will. But sometimes it's even more exacerbated than it really is, like in our heads. And so that's why we keep following that. And it's like, okay, so, my husband's thinking this, other ones, and somebody else is thinking this. And sometimes they're not even. And it's just all in your head. And if you really give yourself that permission to find what you love and go for it, whether that is a business or not, you're going to do your part, right? And show up in the world and not just be showing up in the world for your family. Because then it goes back into, okay, yes, you need to show up for your kids and for your husband, but that's not it. I mean, we're part of a world, of a huge world out there. And there are people out there that need us, not just our family and friends. And that's where entrepreneurship could come in, but maybe something else, that you can contribute to society. So I just love that. And everything that you said about, we're made up of different things. And I like to call it different layers. So, the society, where we grew up in, our family, and then there's us too. There's just like who we are. And who is that? We lose that over time, right? So it's kind of going back. And like you said, what you do with your clients is going back to that first essence of, why are you doing this? And you do that with people that have already kind of taken those steps and they kind of maybe got lost in the process. But here we're talking about people that haven't taken that step, moms that haven't taken that step, and kind of encouraging them to be like, okay, who are you? How can you do your part in the world, not hide behind anybody, and not fit in anyone else's box, and determine who you are yourself.
Right. Love it.
Yes. Oh, I love so much. Okay. So, we had so many different things that we talked about.
I know.
And I love it. It's so rich. But what is like your biggest message, your biggest piece of advice? Like if you could consolidate it in one thing, like what comes to mind right now to tell the moms that are listening to us?
Ooh, well, I just wanted to add one thing in there really quickly before I say the final.
Okay.
I feel like there's something to do with getting validated for what you bring to the world. And sometimes I feel like right now with the way society is, like getting paid for doing something is such a huge thing that I feel like a lot of people struggle with. But if you were, I wouldn't say everybody should start a business, but I do think that everybody should get something out of showing up. Like there's some validation for that, because you need to feel like you're making a difference.
Right.
That's kind of a deep-rooted core. I usually recommend people start a business and control your own money and make it happen. But that's not for everybody. And I do feel like, there's so many different things out there. But anyways, that's one side note I wanted to say. And then as far as like my biggest advice, let's see. I really need like a perspective. What would they be going through right now that I could tell them? You like for starting a business or just to...
Yeah, it could be someone that's thinking about starting a business or someone that, feeling lost or like what you had mentioned, hiding behind their husband and their kids and wondering kind of beginning to understand that they don't have to be in that place.
Yes. Okay. So my biggest advice would be if you're at a place where you're pushing, right? Most people are going through something usually. I would really say sit down and realize that or understand or ask yourself a question, but understand that everything you need to solve the problem is in front of you and you're not facing it. I did a blog post a while back, something about using fear and shame to grow your business. But really what it is what is the pain point right now? What is the biggest thing you're avoiding? What is that thing you don't want to hear? You're pushing it off and it's kind of like something you don't want to deal with. Or for me, when I did that blog post, is somebody kind of mentioned to me like, oh, my marketing looks flaky and I seem like a fake person online. And I was like, what? But I think facing the things that you're kind of avoiding and diving into it deeply and being willing to see the parts that you're not good at, because usually that pain point right there is the biggest thing that will push you and get you out of where you're at.
Ooh, I love that. So really digging deeper to find where is this resistance coming from? Why is this here? And that will give you so many answers and so much more clarity into what's going on.
Being willing to face it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. And it's interesting because that's one of the things that I say. I usually say use joy and fear as a compass for anything in life, but especially with business too. If it's making you miserable, something has to change. You have to find a joy. And if you're scared, that's an indication that you need to do it and challenge yourself. But where does the shame come from? Can you explain more of that?
Sure,
use the shame.
Yes, because I feel like at least myself, but anyone I meet, there's sometimes shame like I'm not good enough or I should be doing it this way or this is what society tells me a business should look like. And you kind of say it's kind of scary to admit that you're not perfect or scary to say I'm failing right now or my bank's in the negative. Who knows? Nobody wants to say that part. So there's a little bit of shame that comes there, I think sometimes. And those things really just are keeping you in that hole. And not letting you grow to the next part. It's like that wall you keep hitting over and over again. And instead of dealing with what you're feeling, you kind of just don't face it and you decide to hit the wall a few more times,
Yeah.
But that's really where I would recommend what I would tell someone right now. It's what you're going through. You don't need to go out and find a solution. You cannot go pay someone to do this for you. You got to sit down and say, why what am I feeling? What am I afraid of? And what do I need to face? And just let it go. Like really let it go. Honestly, as soon as you sit down and say, okay, I'm willing to face that maybe I kind of suck right now. Oh, another good point too is, you know how everybody says don't listen to your self-talk? Mm-hmm. Like the self-talk is so scary and oh my gosh. I challenge every single person who ever listens to this to sit down and really listen to your self-talk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You know, like if your self-talk is saying, oh my gosh, I suck. I shouldn't be doing this public speaking event because whatever, you know, I'm whatever the self-talk is saying. Mm-hmm. It's right. Your self-talk is right. It doesn't sound good and it's ugly, but it's right. And what it's trying to get you to do is say, okay, yes, you're not good enough. So now what do we need to do to make that happen? What can you do to get better? Okay. Not telling you what to do. You're not good enough. Don't do it. That's not what it's telling you.
Right.
It's telling you you're not good enough. And the truth is you didn't. Maybe you kind of suck at the top. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody ever wants to hear I suck. They don't.
Right.
Push it up. But hey, you really did suck. That's okay. You did it. Be proud of yourself that you did it. And let's grow. You can't grow unless you face the fact that you weren't good enough. You can never show up being perfect. You always are growing and getting better.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. And the whole idea of you don't have to hire someone or find someone that's going to give you the solution. Everything's already in front of you. It's within you, right? You just have to ask yourself those questions, which is not always comfortable. In fact, it's never comfortable. But that's what makes you grow. And that's what makes you change. Another thing too is like what you're saying, you're hitting a wall, you're in that hole, and instead of pulling yourself out of it, you're looking for others to do it for you. And then you just keep hitting yourself on that wall. And there's a quote, I think, that says, if nothing changes, nothing changes, or something like that, which is so true. Like it starts with you. Like this is, I think, like the global message of the episode. It's like, it starts with you. Like you have to be the one that decides, okay, now I'm going to do something different. And what is that going to look like? I don't know. You're going to have to figure it out. And it might take you years. In fact, it's a journey, right? We're all still kind of figuring it out. But you have to start somewhere. So
I love that. And usually what I do once I get a client there, it's like, all right, it starts with you. Now I come alongside you and I give you everything that I know about business and how to function and how to meet your team. And you're driving that. And it's such a cool collaborative relationship. And I feel like that's when I'm able to really bring a lot to the table for my clients, because they know clearly, you know, going from what they're good at and what they can do.
Yes, just adding to their knowledge and to their expertise with the things that you have learned after owning several businesses and doing all of the things. It's like, but still they're in control. They have the power. And that's really empowering for them. And it also takes off the responsibility of you bringing results to them. Because that's another thing too, that I feel like many people, when they look for coaches or somebody that helps them, they're kind of laying the responsibility on that person for them to see results. And that's not how it works at all. Like we're just, there to help and to show you different tools that you might not be aware of. But at the end of the day, it's really all up to you.
Right.
Which is what we just said here too. Oh, that's so amazing. we could talk for ages.
I know. I'm not done. I have so much. I'm just kidding.
Well, and I would definitely love to have you on again and talk about different things, because, this is amazing. So how can we reach you? How can we find you? What are the different resources that you have?
Sure. Yes. So my website is mysocialdrive.com. And then I am on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all those places. And then, or you can email or call. Whatever works.
Okay. Just reach out to Lucy, because she has lots of encouragement.
Encouragement and wisdom. And then from there, we do like marketing plans and then push forward based off of that core route that we kind of talked about in the beginning. And I don't know. That's kind of what I do.
Amazing. Kind of what you do. You do a lot. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lucy. This was great. I loved it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it and love this conversation. It's been fun.
Thank you so much for joining me once again. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Every time I listen to it while editing, there's just so much insight on there and so much encouragement, which is what I'm all about. So be encouraged today, Mama, to start a new week on the right foot. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.